upon the gentleman from Ohio, Mr. Latta, for 5 minutes.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and to the panel, thanks very much for being here today. It's very, very informative. I know that through the other hearings that we've had in the past year and two, I should say, that this is a very, very important topic. It's a very, very serious topic. And if I could start with you, Mr. Aronson, if I could ask this. You mentioned in your testimony that you're working with DOE to determine the scope and process for emergency orders. Would you expand on that conversation, provide insight as to whether there would be further action from Congress at this time?
I don't know about further action from Congress yet. I mentioned earlier that the notice of proposed rulemaking was put out a few months ago. We have a due date actually of this coming Monday, February 6th, to get comments in. Those comments are helping to inform the process of what an emergency order from the Secretary of Energy might look like. I think the most important thing, and it is built into the NOPR, is this idea of consultation. Now, the law said consultation with the sector where practicable. Practicable to us is a little concerning, given that any emergency order that doesn't take into account how grid operators actually operate the system could have unintended consequences. So that is a point that we're making in this response to the rulemaking to help inform the process. But I do think that given all of the great relationship we have with the Secretary of Energy and frankly just the Department of Energy in general as our sector-specific agency, we are confident that they understand us, we understand them, and think we can work productively with them to implement that emergency authority.
Okay, thank you. Let me follow up, and this is being touched on a little bit before, but you said something kind of interesting that I wrote down. You mentioned earlier about the vulnerabilities that are a potential concern through the Internet of Things. And if you could expand a little bit on that work and also with the Electricity Infrastructure Sharing and Analysis Center and beginning to plan for those risks. But then you said this. I thought this was kind of interesting. You said you were on a journey without a destination. That's not real comforting as we're going down that road.
Maybe I should pick a better cliche. But
I write those things down.
But the point I'm getting across is there is no such thing as 100% security. So we are constantly evolving, and I think that is a good thing. If we became stagnant and just relied on this culture of compliance, and yeah, we're secure, we would not be able to be responsive to new and emerging threats. So, it's the old joke. I don't have to be faster than the bear. I just have to be faster than the other guy. There's another cliche to add to the hit list. But what we are doing is constantly trying to stay ahead of the adversary. And they have intent and capabilities, but we do too. And I think I'm particularly proud of the industry's culture of constantly reinventing and looking at its security posture, seeing where there are gaps, using exercises like GridX, using observations from things that happen overseas and here at home, and learning from those and then applying them to make us better. And to Mr. McKinley, who I'm sorry isn't here, I agree. I love the wooden quote of effort does not equal accomplishment, but I would say there have been a number of accomplishments from putting in place spare equipment programs to creating a cyber mutual assistance program to doing a better job of sharing information to developing the cyber risk information sharing program and applying it from a DOE lab into a commercial application. There's a lot of stuff that has happened in a very short amount of time because of the CEO leadership of the Sector Coordinating Council.
Thank you. Ms. Sugg, if I could go back to what you also said. You said that innovation is important. Are we meeting that innovation to make sure we keep up the standards, to make sure that we can meet these potential threats?
Well, innovation's certainly changing faster than the standards are changing. Hence my comments about ensuring that the standards are not overly prescriptive but are more focused on the risk. Innovation is important, whether it be trying to understand the threat avenues from our attackers or understanding the newer and more interesting technologies that are coming to bear that may provide some additional securities for us beyond what we have today. We don't ever want to be really comfortable with our architecture that we have in place. We need to continue to look at opportunities to strengthen it depending on what technologies are available and matching that up with where the threats seem to be coming in and how we can try to get ahead of that.
No, thank you. Mr. Chairman, my time has expired and I yield back.